Hello, gummers, and welcome to Fergie's Gum. My name's Nathan Irvine, and I'm your host for this podcast and YouTube show today. And as always, I am joined by Mr. Paul Cropper. How are you doing, mate?
Morning. I'm all right, mate. Morning. How are you? Coconut oil on the head. Cow shine, that is beautiful.
Well, I was going to ask where that shine was coming from, and now I know.
Buffed it this morning with my bowling ball cloth.
Buffed it right out. You've not considered the quick trip to Turkey? No? Like Fabian Hurtzler?
Oh, no.
Brighton manager seems to have had that done in pre-season. No?
No, I'm northern. Too much hassle that. I don't need to look that good, do I?
Fair enough.
Right.
Fair enough, mate. No problem at all. As always, we were going to start with the PSG game, but I'm going to go for a different tact because obviously deal sheet, the Athletics deal sheet where they talk about transfers has come out this morning. So it's obviously a good place to start right now. So we will talk about transfers. We'll do the ones that you may have missed because a couple of players have left Manchester United, haven't they? Radek Vitek has now joined Middlesbrough. I think it was pretty clear that he was going to leave in every interview that he did in pre-season. He was like, "Yeah, I'm going as soon as they let me. I'm off. I want out."
With his suitcase, he had his case at the side of him ready to go, didn't he?
Yeah. So yeah, he was pretty keen on getting out. Fair play to him. I know I said this before, but if he didn't have the stones for a challenge with Senna Lamans, then fair enough. Go and have a career elsewhere. So he's gone to Middlesbrough. 7 million. Rising to 14 if he hits everything,
7 and 7. It feels like we could have got double that, doesn't it? Especially with Trafford, with the price that he's gone for, it feels a bit. Everyone's comparing it, aren't they? But yeah, it's a bit of another loan would have suited us as United fans, wouldn't it? And probably the club. But like you say, the kid's got ambitions to be a number one, and he probably wasn't going to get that Old Trafford. So yeah, fair play. But yeah, 30 million, I think, would have been a fair price, don't you?
I think, like north of 20 would have been a fair price, especially for a young goalkeeper that's probably going to be at your club for the next 10 years if things turn out well for him. So, fair play. He wanted to go. Carl Darlow Tom Heaton, who also has doesn't he have a hamstring injury?
He got injured, didn't he? Yeah, he pulled it. Oh, yeah. Sprinting at that age can't be done.
No, definitely not. Anything over 25, you shouldn't be sprinting anymore. And I think it was Dermot Mee took over. We'll talk about the PSG game in a second, but yeah, he came on to make his debut for Manchester United. He did all right. He did well. The couple of goalkeepers have left in the last week or so. Altay Bayındır finally left the club. It was inevitable that he was going to leave. I still don't think it's the end of him at Manchester United because he's only gone to Celta Vigo on a loan. 4 million buy option. Ugh. 4 million euro buy option. So you're not even talking like 3 million for him there. Says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, says a lot of where his performances and people have seen him all around Europe, haven't they? Who scouted that kid and brought him in?
True.
You got to ask questions, haven't you?
You do have to ask questions. The one big question that I'm going to ask right now, though, is who's been scouting Lewis Page at Leicester City? 18-year-old wonder kid. Didn't even know who he was. I'm sure, like every other Manchester United fan, we've had a look on YouTube, checked out his highlight reel, and like Ahmad said in the WhatsApp chat earlier, it's the new Jude Bellingham. So that's what we're getting at Manchester United. The new Jude Bellingham is Lewis Page. Thoughts on him?
It's a direction the club are looking at, isn't it? Looking at all these kids, it is exciting when they do. I know I put a bit of a downer on them going into the first team, and it's for the future and sell on and stuff. But when you see someone like that, you have to take notice. When I first watched him, I thought, because I was obviously the same, you like just a name pops up, and I thought, what position's that lad? Because he played on the right, and then he was in the middle, and then he was at left back, and then he were at centre half getting the ball off the keeper, and I thought, I don't even know what position he is. But then you could probably play them all when you're that good. What he's got is that ability, because he is a centre midfielder, a left-footed centre midfielder. He can drive with the ball, he can run with the ball from centre midfield. That's quite unusual. That's probably what makes him stand out. Looks tidy, looks like he gets stuck involved. He's obviously highly thought of in the football world. So yeah, exciting. A centre midfielder that can run with the ball, Nathan, is very, very rare.
And it's something that Manchester United haven't had for quite a long time. I know Kobbie Mainoo can do that, actually. I'm contradicting myself with that. But he's more of I think Michael Carrick wanted him to be more of a player that was just knocking the ball around. Basically, someone in his mould. That's what he wanted at the club. But there were a couple of moments last season when he would just dribble the ball and bounce off players, and he looked decent doing it, Cobby. So, let's see how that develops. The only difficulty with the Lewis Page one is obviously Arsenal are interested in him as well. So it could be that they end up signing Lewis Page. Did they
Oh,
get Jeremy
when he
Monger as well? Or was it
from
City that got Jeremy Monger?
oh, he didn't come to United and all that. The thing is, there's a lot of kids leaving Arsenal to come to United, isn't there? So
Mm. There was
makes
an
you ask
interview
even more
with
questions.
there was an interview with Aidan Heaven's mother, who's also his agent. I think Stretford Paddock did it recently. I haven't watched it yet, but she's pretty open about talking about Aidan's career and where he is. And I think he was playing further forward, and Per Mertesacker said, "No, he's a defender." So there's I will obviously watch that interview, but I think that line itself, I'm fairly certain, was in the Athletics article that they did on him about 2 years ago when he first joined. So I'll check it out, see how that does. The other player that we obviously need to talk about, who's also on the deal sheet as well, is Lewis Hall. There's been some talk that he has been training alone, but then when you dig into the details, I think it's the Manchester Evening News have been talking about this, trying to say, oh, he's trying to angle for a move like Isak did. But then you look at it and it's like Fabian Schär and there was another player as well, Lewis Smiley, I think. They're also training alone because they're injured and
Okay.
not back to full fitness. So unless all three of them are planning to leave the club soon, I don't think there's much you can read into that.
Mm,
But saying that, the one thing that you might be able to read something into is, and we talked about this off air before, the Anthony Robinson deal from Fulham, because he was linked to Manchester United, but he was also linked to Newcastle United last week, I think it was. And then it was like Manchester United, ITKs, they were all going, oh, look, they're getting the replacement for him. They're getting the replacement for Lewis Hall. Maybe there's movement on this. I still think it's something that's not going to be done. That Lewis Hall deal is just Newcastle are definitely not having that.
I don't. It's going to take the kid to hand in a transfer request into it, and I think United are probably waiting on that. And they've got other options lined up if that doesn't happen. I can see Lewis Hall just saying, "Look, I want out of here." If everybody else has gone, he's there. He's probably one of their best players now, isn't he? You think of everybody else that's gone out the door, and he's probably looking around thinking, "Look, if I can get a move to United, I'll do it." And you will have to hand in a transfer request, which also plays into Ineos' hands because then you get him a bit cheaper, don't you? Probably takes off what 20 million if you hands in a request. I don't want to be here anymore. 60 million, Ineos will
No
be in there.
chance. No chance.
Yeah, we'll see. It's an exciting one, honestly. But United are looking at left backs from
Yeah.
what we can get
And
from that. Yeah.
yeah, if it doesn't turn out to be Lewis Hall, which I still believe is going to be a difficult one to do. I don't think Newcastle United want to be seen to be selling any more star players. They're relegation fodder with the squad that they've currently got. And, a manager, young, exciting manager, which is great, but absolutely no experience of the Premier League whatsoever. So it could be a long old season for them. And selling off like assets such as Lewis Hall might not be the best thing for them to do. One of the things that I'd heard, like obviously, I work in sports journalism, but one of the things that I'd heard was that the Saudis that own Newcastle United spent a lot of the time at the World Cup in the US, but talking to potential, not just investors, but people to sell the club to. So they was looking at people that they could potentially sell the club to because I think they want out. There's a lot of their big projects, they were very costly, and I think part of that has come to an end now. They're not investing as heavily into all of these sports projects as they were doing before. But without Lewis Hall, that's probably not as an attractive proposition to buy Newcastle United, is it? Bruno Guimaraes has gone. Gordon,
Yeah.
you know,
Isaac. Yeah,
Isak.
Tonali. It's a lot. It's a lot of players to go. But once one of
Yeah.
them goes, the rest of them will start looking around, going, "No, I'm
Yeah.
going as well." I think it'll play into the hand. The other thing is, if like you said there, if they do get relegated, you're only going to get 25, 30 million from that. You're going to be losing a lot of
Well,
money. So
I mean,
do you
we look at
well,
Mateus Fernandez getting relegated with West Ham and then suddenly turning up 80 odd million for Spurs. So I don't think you can I don't think you can rule that out, getting a big money for him. But the other ones you rightly said there, they have Manchester United have been linked to other players. Georgie Salinas from Racing Santander, 19-year-old, 16 million euro release clause, which is what, about 12 million quid release
No,
clause for
mate.
him. He also has I do believe George Mendes is his agent. So Manchester United have plenty of experience of dealing with him and giving him his 20% cut. So that might be one to look out for as well. And then there's David Raum, or Ram
Raum,
from,
I'll go with Raum.
yeah. Did he play for Germany at the World Cup? He's German international, right?
I don't know if he did actually. Didn't watch a lot of the Germans. He's a
It's a madness one though, isn't it? Because these two players, me and you know nothing about them, and we haven't checked on YouTube to see what they're like. But from the reports that I read, David Raum, with the way that he can whip the ball in, is apparently going to be beneficial to someone like Benjamin Sesko, who is still not
yeah,
returned from injury. So
yeah, which is worrying. Yeah, it's the David Raum one. I've seen a bit more of him than I have of the Salinas lad, and that makes you question the other one where what's happened to all the other kids that we've got at left back. You know, if you're looking at another Spanish kid at 16 million, do we just write off the other lads that are there? The Raum one comes in, a lot more experience at the top level, played at a higher standard. His assists are outstanding. His stats going forward are outstanding. You watch a lot of clips and not a lot of it's defending. Actually, most of
yeah,
it's whipping a ball, getting the ball out of his feet, whipping it in, or free kicks, corners. He's an attacking fullback, and he likes to cross the ball and can create chances, create goals, which is something we've missed at fullback. I think the quality there. Luke Shaw's not got the legs to get up and down, as we know. And that's something that the club will be looking at. I think it's more so the price, isn't it? If you're getting spoken of 60, 70 million for these players, Anthony Robinson, I believe they were looking at 40 million. And then you can go and get this lad who's played, he's got better stats than all of them. Apparently on the the stats, the diagrams and everything like
yeah,
that, David Raum's miles ahead of everybody at fullback. So that's why the club are looking there. And we know they're looking at that, aren't they? They're looking at the stats, they're looking at standouts, anomalies, if you like. And he is one
yeah.
of the tricky one is he's 28-year-old.
Mm,
I mean, I know, and we mentioned this off air, and you straight away pulled your face, didn't you? 28, you're paying, I think it's 26 million, 28 million around that price. Will he come in and start? Is he going to be on the bench as backup for Luke Shaw? It's a questionable one, and I don't know, but an attacking fullback, who don't like an attacking fullback? Love him.
I mean, I'll take it. If Luke Shaw is going to be moved to centre back, which could happen this season,
It's an
as
option.
a makeshift centre back, then yeah, you got to take it. But yeah, left back has become one of those weird positions where, and I maintain this, it still seems like it's man for man the strongest position that we currently have at the club, but. For whatever reason, and obviously the coaches see these players day in, day out, they know more than what we do. But they've been looking at these players and going, well, none of them are good enough. None of them can play in that position. Harry Amas, again, we move on swiftly to the possible outs. Harry Amas is still there on the Athletic deal sheet, potentially leaving for 6 million quid. However, that stance has softened. So I'm imagining Manchester United have contacted certain press and certain journalists just to feed him a bit more of a line, saying that they would prefer a loan. So to give him some more experience, I would prefer to see him loaned to someone in the Premier League. I'd like to see if he can do it in the Premier League because he spent he spent a lot of last season at the bottom half of the Championship, didn't he, with Sheffield Wednesday?
Mm.
So yeah, it would be interesting to see what would happen. 6 million for me still irks. I don't think it's nearly enough. Again, the other person that we was talking about as well was Toby Collier. Those two seem to be the pair that Manchester United are hawking around at the moment. I don't think did he play at the weekend against PSG?
Yeah,
Did he play any
came on,
minutes?
yeah, came on
Okay,
at the weekend, I believe.
I guess it
Yeah,
keeps him in the shop window. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, even like a mass coming on, and they're getting minutes. These lads, aren't they? And you're like, well, why are you ushering them out the door? It just seems a bit strange. Like, but you know, 6 million is not going to make any difference, really, is it, to your finances? It's a bit of a strange one, and if they get him in, like you say, he lit up the championship when he was there. The glowing reports he was getting coming back, and we were all like, brilliant. Come back next year, and then you can be back up to Luke Shaw. It's felt like a natural progression, the way it should do. And then I know he got a bit of a knock, and then the club to come out and say he's up for sales. It's strange. Yeah.
It is a very strange one. Two other players that they're talking about potentially leaving further up the pitch this time. Joshua Zirkzee, still in talks with Juventus, apparently, with a loan for obligation to buy. We've seen how those obligation to buys work with a certain Marcus Rashford. They're not worth the paper they're written on. So, are we going to get rid of him for a season? But then are we going to be able to bring anyone in because we're still potentially carrying his wages and him next season? So that's a weird one. And then Ethan Wheatley still being linked to Everton, apparently. So who knows what's going to happen? The big question I was going to ask you at the end of this, and we've gone through all of the potential players there, ins and outs. Do you think Manchester United will sign any more players this summer?
I'm hanging on to a hope that they do, because there's still, like I've said for ages, there's still 3 or 4 positions we need. The silence around the club and everywhere is worrying, but that seems to be the way they work. Nobody seems to know anything, do they? And then all of a sudden they pop a little Tielemans from nowhere with a bargain clause. So got to trust in the club, got to trust in the people that are making these decisions, trust the manager that he knows what he wants. There are rumours of certain Adam Wharton I've just seen resurface.
Yeah.
So it's players like that do make, if United can go and get Wharton, Lewis Hall, and a backup striker, then you all of a sudden going, well, that's a really good transfer window. But I think you're probably on about 10% chance of that happening.
I mean, even less than that. I was ready to reach into the camera to wake you up then, because I think you'd fallen asleep and was dreaming. But because Adam Wharton, Lewis Hall, not a chance. Couldn't even buy the shoes off one of them with our finances at the moment. But there's but the other one as well was that I saw Nathan Salt from the Daily Mail, who's on the Manchester United beat. He was saying that Yuri Tielemans is being likened to the signing of the summer. And when you start to read things like that, because obviously he's been fed this line from somewhere, when you start to read lines like that, it's like, yeah, our business is done. Manchester United's business in this transfer window is done. Manchester United 1, PSG 1. That was an interesting game. I thought we was a bit flat in that first half. I'll be honest with you. I thought it was a bit of a strange game throughout. I thought it was played at the tempo of a pre-season friendly. I know that's weird to say, but there was times when it was like, oh, that's good. You can see the patterns of play that Michael Carrick is trying to do with this side. And then at other times it was like, oh, for God's sake, what is going on here? But what was your opinion on that game? Because it looked a game of 2 halves, I would say.
Yeah, it's like you say, patterns of play you could see. It was just a bit bitty. Everything was bitty, wasn't it? And then a bit messy, slack, people switching off, Aiden and Heaven absolutely snapping, Kvaratskhelia, which was funny. Mistakes. I thought both teams were like the preseason's like that, though. Yeah. This preseason, I think it's been like that. I've said it last week. There's been reports of everyone's glowing references for the preseason, and I've kind of been like, it was one of those games where you're watching it, and then you're kind of on your phone, and then you're watching it, and it was just a bit like that. And then I think a few changes came on. Ahmad with his closing down again. I thought we know he's got that in his locker, was good. Bumo looks, he's had a few good performances, but he's in and out. He's not. That's what he does when he plays in that position. When he's in and out of the game, but he can finish, can score. Dangerous in that. There, they both look a bit sharper than they did when they come back from the African nation. We need them to carry on that. Because if anybody's going to do anything going forward in this team, it's going to be them too. I thought the ball needed moving quicker. Aaron Maguire has got this ping in him now, which he seems to be working on. His switch of play seems to be it's a weapon, to be fair, and he's really good at it. Yeah, you'll take it as a pre-season. And then when you started introducing the lads that have got a bit more quality, when Bruno came on, Tielemans showed a few tidy touches. Santos again, he seems to be the standout of this pre-season, I would say. I think he's centre midfield. He looks comfortable. Looks like he's just slotted in, like he's been there for a couple of seasons. Like, he's confident. His first touch passing is good. His covering for the back lads at the back looks very, very good. You can see why the club have paid that kind of money for him straight away, which is a promising sign. Shea Lacey again. I thought he's looking more like he belongs in the squad now, which is what we wanted to see. So it's not like, one of the kids on the periphery, like we've been on about Harry and Mac. Just put him in because we've got nobody else to come in there. Though he looks like he's part of the squad, which I'm really happy to see, actually. And then, because he gives you options. I think we said it last week. Michael Carrick likes the option of putting him in the 10. What's interesting for me to see in the pre-season is the rotation of the front lads. Dog, who's popping up on the left, popping up on the right, and Boomo and Almada into switching, and that's really, really good to see. It's exciting to see going forward because you need them options, and I think all of the front lads can play anywhere along the front. Be interesting the next couple of games. What happens with Marcus Rashford? What happens with Manu when they come back? Because they'll give us even more quality. But yeah, it was all right as pre-season.
Well, I just wanted your opinions on the actual result, but you've gone through all my topics that I was going to do one by one.
Sorry, mate.
No, it's good. It's good. We'll rewind it back. That's because you touched on loads of important points there, especially the Ahmad one. Because we watched him attacking last season. You remember how he started off the season and the way that he was closing players down. He was fantastic, like a little dog chasing after a ball. He was in straight after it, and that caused a lot of disruption in opposition defenders, and they didn't like it at all. And there was a few chances that he carved out through that. We need that, as you said, all season. We need that harassing all season. And Boomo was doing it as well when we started the season last year. And I think, he got a goal again. He took it really well. If he's scoring 1 or 2 every couple of games, I've got no problem with him being in and out of the game. I've got no problem with him playing centre forward. If he's in the back of the net, I do not care. If you want to, it's like Haaland, he barely touches the ball and then he's got a 4-minute hat trick. It's that type of clinical finishing that you need. But we said this last week. Ahmad and Mbeumo, they're going to be massively important for Michael Carrick.
Isn't Boomo the best finisher at the club?
Oh, that's a big shout.
I can't think of anyone that's a better finisher than him. We
Sesko?
don't really have a natural striker, do it? Is he a better natural finisher? No, I'm not sure. If there's a chance at Old Trafford to drop to anyone, you want it dropping to Mbeumo.
I think you're right. Yeah, I can't argue with it. Him and Ahmad. Ahmad's a good finisher as well.
Yeah,
he's a very good
Bruno,
finisher.
obviously.
Bruno. I mean, Bruno, but last season was all about the assists, wasn't it? Like he was like laser hot with that. One of the other interesting things as well, away from Ahmad and Mbeumo, was Tielemans looked like he'd been playing for the club for the past 10 years. He came in and immediately affected the game, and it was interesting to see the connection that he already had with Bruno Fernandes. Must be the first game that they played together, apart from like pre-season stuff. Training. They seem to be on like a nice little wavelength, and it's not often you see a player play Bruno in the way that Tielemans did. It's usually Bruno's playing that ball to get in between the lines, and then it's the other player, Sesko, spooning it or whatever it is. He's the one that's usually playing it through. But that could be interesting this season between Tielemans and Bruno Fernandes, because he's got that in his locker. And as you say, Andre Santos, he's probably been the best player during pre-season, but he's capable of that as well. He's not just a scrapper. He's capable. His first thought, and this is what's impressed me, I knew very little about Andre Santos before he came to the club. Very little. But what I can see with him is like, it's that Fergie style of play that was, that made them so successful. Play the ball forward. Don't be playing it back or sideways. Get the ball forward, because that's where you cause the most problems. And Andre Santos is fantastic at doing that, playing those balls through. But here's a question for you, and I know it's probably quite obvious. Tielemans, Santos, is that your starting midfield 2 for the game against Hull?
Yes, I think it is. I don't think Manu's come back enough time. He'll need a couple of games, some minutes under his belt, whether he can get them tomorrow and at the weekend. But yeah, probably got, especially with Mason Mount's injury. I've not really heard much of how bad it is. I don't know if you've heard anything, but I think that'll affect it. Tielemans and Santos. I don't think when they paid the money for them, they were expecting them to be the starters for the
Mm.
first game, but I think that's just the way it's worked out now. And so I was just checking in the chat then because I can't remember who put it in the chat and it was Ahmad. He put, I forgot what it feels like having a midfielder who doesn't treat the ball like a hot potato. That's what you're saying about Tielemans. And we've gone from having like Mainu and Bruno Fernandes when they were playing in there and Casemiro. You were like you're right. We were looking for Bruno to give the ball to Bruno, weren't we?
Mm.
We need another one there. And
Yeah.
Tielemans has got that quality, and he just doesn't give the ball away, does he? So we've gone from like when we had the likes of Fred, McTominay, they're not technically sound as anywhere near Tielemans' level. So you can give the ball and quite comfortably say, well, he's not going to give it away. And then he knows what to do straight away. He's 2 or 3 steps ahead. Players like Bruno will love that because they will. We've all played with players where you don't have to say anything to them. You just know what they're going to do, and you click. And I think these two, the quality that they both got, will click. And then you've got Santos there, who seems to be very technically sound, and he punches the ball forward at every first opportunity he can get. And Bruno will love that. And on the transition, that'll be deadly. Tielemans likes to play the ball forward as well. If you've got midfielders that play the ball forward, all of a sudden then the likes of Mbeumo and Rashford will make runs because they stop making runs. When the ball goes to a midfielder and it gets stuck and then it gets rotated, goes back to your centre, they stop making runs. But when Tielemans gets his head up, as soon as he gets his head up, they'll make the runs, and that's something they'll work on. Yeah, it'll be lovely to watch. We'll see some good football at Old Trafford with them lads in the middle.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of the time when we've been talking about this in terms of the midfield profiles that we've talked about Carrick's Middlesbrough and the way that they just wanted to control the ball. But a further assessment of it, this is the type of play that PSG and Barcelona play. Without that big lad in the centre, they haven't gone with, well, we need a giant man to play here as a screen. They've gone, get the ball down, get it to feet, and just play with the technical side of things. And yes, they'll probably get knocked off the ball every now and again, but they're supposed to be there to create the rondos to get up the pitch. That's it. Bamboozle these giant midfielders that are coming through to try and pinch the ball. They might come unstuck when it comes to defending. Do you know what I mean? Like there might be an issue there, but it will be Santos has got the ball. Right, okay, plays it to Tielemans. Tielemans to Fernandes. Fernandes back to Mainu. It depends who they're playing, but they will look to be moving the ball constantly, as you mentioned just then, and it'll be beautiful to watch. Then spray it out wide. Even if they've got to go back to Maguire to whip that ball out to the wing, which is definitely a weapon that Michael Carrick has been working on with Harry, 100%. If they do that, then they're on the front foot. I don't think they need this destroyer anymore. And to be honest, I don't think they're going to get it anyway. As we talked about previously, I don't think they're going to be trying to sign another high-profile midfielder.
It's a great point because I've put it down here, but because we're talking about the ins, and I put Adam Wharton in there, as I said earlier. But I know you're not confident of getting that. But if you look at that midfield now already, I've compare it to the Barcelona midfielders like you've just done. Good luck getting the ball off them lads. You know, if they've got the ball, you'll be chasing shadows for 90 minutes, and that seems to be the way Michael Carrick. He was one of the best centre midfielders to play at Old Trafford. He was calm on the ball. And he wanted the ball. He wants to dominate the ball. And we've not had a midfield good enough to do that for a long, long time that have got the legs in the Premier League, got the quality to do it. And I think the lads that are in there now, we can play in the opposition's half. We can play there because we can keep the ball. And we're not going to lose it cheaply. Yuri Tielemans won't lose the ball cheaply. Bruno Fernandes will try these pings now and then. And then that's when we struggle when the teams counter-attack us, that's when we struggle. But I think if you can dominate the ball, keep the ball, you tire the opposition out. It's what Barcelona, like you say, and PSG have took that mantle on now of, no, Vitinha, they came on it again at weekend. I thought he's brilliant to watching it. But hopefully we have a midfield like that can keep the ball, dominate it. And that's how you dominate leagues. You dominate in the Champions League. That's how you win games at that standard. It's not end-to-end football, crazy like Ruben Amorim had us doing, which was just manic. It's no, keep that ball and we'll keep it for as long as we can. Create chances. Yeah, really excited with the midfield.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned him before, but Mason Mount probably would have been a shoe-in to be starting alongside Santos in the for the whole the game against Hull, the season opener. But he went off. It was only a precaution, apparently. He had his foot stood on.
Right.
So I mean,
Oh,
we've all
okay.
had our foot
An
stood
impact
on
injury.
with studs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Good. Right.
it bloody hurts. So, I mean, unless something breaks after we've recorded this show, then hopefully not his metatarsal. But if something breaks after this show, saying that he's got long-term injury, I would still probably guess that it would be him and one of Tielemans and Santos that would start the season. I still think Mount will be the person that starts that game. Couple of other things as well. Manchester United have obviously moved to their training camp. They've gone to Dublin now. And Benjamin Sesko still is yet to feature in pre-season, which means that I've got a feeling it's going to be in Mbumo that starts up top. I mean, he's playing there. He's played there every game, hasn't he? He's played up front. So I don't hate that idea. As you say, he's a clinical finisher, probably best at the club. So I don't hate it. It probably changes how Manchester United would play with someone like Sesko. You're probably going to be drilling the ball on the floor rather than scooping it into the air so he can get up there to get it. But it's a little bit of an issue. I'm slightly concerned about the fact that it's taken so long to recover from this. I know he was back out on the pitch. Him and Matheus de Ligt. Matheus de Ligt was out again as well. So hopefully those two boys can play some part over the next 2 games. The one thing I did want to ask, and it's obviously the elephant in the room, how did you feel seeing Marcus Rashford back in the Manchester United colours?
Yeah, it leaves a bit of a bad taste on it. It's I just want him to do well. I put this in the chat the other day. If we were looking around for a player around Europe for a forward, for a winger, because we are weak on the left hand side, we are weak as a forward. The profile of Marcus Rashford is absolutely perfect. He's got pace. He's proven at the Premier League. He's probably the right age. His wages are an issue. I've read an article this week that he's willing to take a pay cut to stay at Old Trafford, which I'm not sure. I think Ineos had probably put that out, hopeful. But if we were looking at Leao, we were looking at players like this, and ignore what the history of Marcus Rashford, and you probably go, well, that's perfect. Yeah, he can play forward. He can play there. He knows the club. Yeah, but that, like you say, that elephant in the room. It's hard for us to forget about the issues that have happened before. Him seemingly downing tools on the club just says, "I don't want to be here. I want to go." We don't know.
Not seemingly, mate. Not seemingly. Anyone that was watching him could see that he'd down tools on the club, and he didn't want to be there.
Do you know what? I saw all these things of Marcus Rashford isn't running, he isn't chasing, and yeah, to an extent, it was like that. But he was trying at certain points. He was sprinting back, but he just wasn't doing it enough, was he? He wasn't doing it. He's not the only one at the club that wasn't doing it, though. Let's be honest. So I know what I'm softening my stance on this because I think we're all going to have to accept the fact that Marcus Rashford is going to be at the club. I think they've given him the number 14 shirt, have they? If he can produce, don't start dancing again in the changing room, please. Do you know what? The culture of the club's changed, hasn't it, since all the issues with Marcus Rashford? So, and the manager's changed as well, which is a big thing, I think, for Marcus Rashford. Hopefully, he's got all the off-pitch things sorted, but Marcus Rashford can be an asset to Manchester United, is my belief now, going forward. And he's got goals in him. We saw at Newcastle what he did in the Champions League when he absolutely walloped one in the back of it. He's got the quality. I just really, really hope he's got the mental side of it sorted. And I think Michael Carrick can get a tune out of Marcus Rashford. He's a danger.
Yeah. I think we talked about this last week as well. Like, I'm all for Rashford finishing his career at Manchester United and playing and being happy again at the club. As you say, as you rightly pointed out, the fact that Michael Carrick is there, it's someone that he's played with, it's someone that he respects, it's someone that's seen the trials and tribulations of people at the club. They've reset the changing room, the culture, everything else. I think it could be the perfect environment for him. I don't want it to blow up. I think Manchester United really made a pointed statement by putting him front and center of all of their social media stuff that they put out. I think it was they wanted not just to test the water, but to basically kind of say, this is our player. He's our player. He's our man. Look, he's part of the squad again. Just naturally, Not saying Marcus Rashford has returned. It was just, here's the photos of everyone that's back at the club and in the Dublin training, and he was there. And I can appreciate that, and I can see why they did it as well. Did he look like he's completely happy to be there? It's hard to tell. I don't know the guy, but the eyes don't lie. The eyes don't lie. And there's some pictures that were taken, and I don't want to be like the gutter press of like, I think there was already a story about him being on a boat and saying, "Oh, look at him, he's back to." It's one of the reasons why he left, because people take pictures of him on a boat with a load of people, and they go, "Look at him wasting his money, spending it. He don't care about football." It's like, just let him have some downtime. Let him do what he
Yes.
wants to do.
Yeah, the English press are like that though, aren't they? They
Hundred
tear
percent,
down these young lads, don't they? We've known
hundred
that for
percent.
years, and most of the English people, they just lap it up, don't they? It's like you say, it's absolute trash, isn't it?
I
The stuff that they've done, and they've done it to Raheem Sterling, Daniel Sturridge. They've done it to Marcus Rashford. They definitely even tried it with Mainu, and he didn't wash, did it? And we're not having any of this.
Yeah,
We know what they're like. We know it. Just brush it off. But as a footballer, these lads aren't impenetrable mentally. They do
yeah.
see it and they're like, well, why are they on my case again? I've only just come back.
Mhm.
I just want to play football. And that's what Sir Alex Ferguson did brilliantly, didn't he? He just built this echo chamber of, no, we'll ignore everything that comes in here. And hopefully Michael Carrick, because he's got the experience of what that feels like, can be like, no, this is your safe place at the club, on the Old Trafford pitch. We'll look after you. We believe in you. And I just wanted to say that because I know you've got something to say. You think that front 5 or 6 now of Rashford, Cunha, and Bumo, Ahmad, Sesko, that's got
It's decent.
quality, it's got pace, it's got quality, it's got pace, it's Champions League level. It's good enough, isn't it? Well, we're shopping around. Do we need this? Do we need that? That's got depth and that's got ability there. So yeah, I'm quite confident in the front five of doing something.
And also as well, that allows, with those players that have got the experience to do that, it allows Shea Lacey to be part of it. And it's not reliant
Yes.
upon him just pulling up trees every time he gets on the pitch. So, it could be the perfect environment for him. For me, I wanted to work out for Marcus Rashford. I was torn when I did see the pictures of him back, like knowing that how he left and everything. I still do stand by the fact that he's going to need to do something before the season starts in terms of saying, I'm glad to be back. It's changed or
Mhm.
whatever it is. Maybe he doesn't. I just think it's for me personally. You might feel the same way, but just to know that he's happy to be back and playing for Manchester United again. I guess he can tell us by just scoring goals. You know what I mean, and
I
celebrating
think
them.
it,
Yeah, I
sorry,
don't know why.
it's
It feels
more.
like there's a bit of a disconnect. It feels like there's a bit of a
Yes, yeah.
disconnect.
It's more of a commitment thing, isn't it? It's more of the fact that he was like, "No, I want to leave," and Rooney had the same thing. When he said, "I want to leave," and you're like,
Yeah,
"No," and it kind of left that. Well, you asked to leave. Who
yeah,
asked to leave Manchester United, and then oh, if anybody's ever asked to leave Manchester United, we all go, "Well, get out then." Well, we don't
yeah,
care. Right? Don't ever come back. And now this kind of thing where he's come back and it's being drip fed that the club are happy to have him, and it feels like the
mm,
club are only happy to have him because nobody else would have him or his wages. That and that,
yeah,
that kind of makes you go, well, does he want to be there? And all we want is him to come in and go, I love the club. I want to be at the club. I want to be at the club for the next 5 or 6 years. I want to see my career out here. I never really wanted to move in the first place. It was more of an ambition, or there was something that stank at the club, or something was. But
yeah,
that kind of, if he did come out and say that, and then we all go, right, okay, now, right, we'll get behind you. Show us on the pitch how much you love the club. And I think
yeah.
it's that kind of. It's like, say if a girlfriend's ever said, I want to leave, and you, all right, and go, and then she goes, oh, I didn't really mean it. It just, no, get out. It's like,
Tend
it's
tend
one
to
of
keep
them.
mine in the basement, mate. But yeah, it's I think the issue is like it's nothing to do with the with him. It's not 100% him. It's 50-50. The club mistreated him as a player. They mismanaged it. Yes, they gave him all of this money, but was he ready for that money? Should he have been rewarded with that contract? With everything that was going on off the pitch? Should they have tried to manage it better? Should they have tried to have things settled before they gave him that cash? So it's one of those things. And Michael Carrick will be asked about this all week. for the Leeds United game, for the AC Milan game. The Rashford will be the hot topic for everyone, and I think it's not just on Rashford to come out and make some sort of statement. I think it's on the club as well to say, look, there has been these problems in terms of us potentially separating with Marcus Rashford and going our separate ways, but we've decided after integrating him back into the group that things are going well again and that we've made the right decision and we're going to continue together. I think with that in mind, I think that would really help.
There's also the issue of if they came out and said he's going nowhere this summer, just put full stop on it, because there seems
Yeah,
to be these stories of, yeah, oh, he's back in the club. You see him in the training. You've seen him giving the new number. Yeah, you're right, okay. But then there's also that if a big club comes in for him, he will
yeah,
go. And
yeah,
well, hang on a minute. Is he playing for the club? Is he not? So they need to underline it and say no. He is staying. He's committed to the club, and then we'll reevaluate it in 18 months or whenever. Or he's still up for sale if a big club comes in. And if that's the case, well then no, you shouldn't be reintegrated into the club. If you're leaving the door open ajar for a Barcelona still, or a Bayern, whoever it is he wants to go to, then no, sorry, you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be part of Manchester United if you've just got one foot out the door still. That's where I disagree. I think that's the disconnect with some United fans is no, come here or go. There's no grey area. You have to do one or the other. And that is once again down to the club mismanaging it. Say, yes, he is part of us. No, he isn't. You can't be half an hour.
Which Manchester United FPL assets are the best ones to get this season? FPL is just, well, it starts next Friday when Arsenal kick off their game against Coventry City. It's the massive game. It's a huge game. And it's one of those games where when it starts to go wrong, someone abandons it, don't they, halfway through, mate?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I spit me dummy out. Then if I forget to change a captain, or I miss a week, or somebody's injured, my head just goes. If I'm losing and I'm that far behind, I just stupid. I'm like that with most games, to be honest. They're a bit too competitive. As I found
Right.
out last week with playing paddle with the family, and I
Oh.
got shouted at by the wife. So it's so you ruin every game. Take it too seriously, which I do. To be
All
fair.
right. Well, you didn't take FPL too seriously because you ducked out of it. So yeah, I'm expecting more longevity this season. That's what I'm expecting. Anyway, we've gone through the squad, the Manchester United squad. We won't go through all of the other teams because obviously this is a Manchester United show. But without going to Bruno Fernandes, who is obviously going to be a lock for 90% of people in that play FPL, along with Erling Haaland as well. He's 12 million, so I imagine that there will be a lot of players that they will go for, a lot of people that will go for Bruno Fernandes. I wanted to look at the ones that were a little bit. I've got a differentials list, and I've also got a nailed on who I think you should have in the team. So I'll give you my top three. That if
Okay.
anyone's watching this who isn't a Manchester United fan but does want to know which assets they should be getting, I'm going to do that for you right now. To start the season, I'm going with the first one that you definitely need to have is Ahmad. 6 million for a midfielder of Ahmad's quality is outstanding. Like, I think, as we talked about before, he had a great start to the season, went to AFCON, died off a bit. He's not got AFCON this year, and his goals and assists, I'm expecting him to get into double figures for at least one of those. Goals and assists combined, he should be on about 15, I think, for the season. But in terms of what he can do for Manchester United as a team, and we saw it at the weekend against PSG, he can hunt those players down. He can get an assist as well. For
He's
6
got a point to
million,
prove.
of course,
Because
yeah.
if
For six,
that price, that price reflects last season, doesn't it? Because you did have a very
yeah,
poor season. Let's be honest, Ahmad, stat
yeah.
wise as well.
But 6 million is an absolute steal. He's definitely like a top midfielder that you should have in there. He's going to play every game as well, unless Shea Lacey can shift him out of that position, then he's going to be playing every single game. That's what I would say. He's not shifting him out, not this season. I know you're raising your eyebrows
Yeah.
there, but it's not happening this season. Do you want to? Are there any that you want to read out, or do you want me to just go through mine first?
I was going to say, I'm just looking at the prices there now. He's The the one that I think, oh, that could be a bit of a bargain. The Tielemans one's the obvious because I think he will start every game for United. Tielemans. I don't think you can bring a player of that quality in and not have him in the team. But Andre
The
Santos
thing
has
is,
got a goal in him. He's got a
wait,
goal in him, Andre.
okay.
Oh,
Let me
yes.
let
You
me
go.
go through mine actually.
Okay.
Let me go through mine actually, because the Tielemans one, I was thinking that that's a decent price for Yuri Tielemans. He didn't even get into, and I know this is mad. He didn't even hit break 100 points last season. So you think about him
Mm,
playing in that Aston Villa team, which was doing well. They was in the top four for a lot of the season last year. He didn't break 100 points. So I don't think you can take that risk on him. 68 points is all he got last season. To put that into
really?
context, Mason Mount got 58 and he barely played a
Wow.
game. Yeah.
Okay. Fair.
So
Yeah.
I
Okay. Yeah.
and
Yeah. I
and
get
you know
that.
what? In my one of my first drafts, I was like, "Yep, he's going in straight in. Yuri Tillemans is going to be one of the options for me." But nope, not based on that. So there's two. The big conundrum, and you could probably take both of them if you wanted to. But who I would start with out of these two £8 million midfielders for Manchester United, Brian Mbumo and Matheus Cunha. In FPL, I'm going to start Big Bry. And Mbumo has to
Yes.
start in your team because he's going to be playing up front as well. And he's been playing all pre-season. Cunha has just come back from Brazil and his break. So I think that starting lineup against Hull for sure is going to be in Mbumo's position to lose. So I think as he's shown in pre-season, what is it? Is he got 4 goals in pre-season? I think now
Three. Has he got three? I'm
three
not
and a
sure.
couple of
You have
assists
to
maybe. But I'm not going to
checking
go
out my
and
team
check
now.
into the details. Yeah, there we go. So he's doing his team on the fly.
He's on it.
Um,
He's on it.
and then the last one that I'm going to do, and it's all midfielders that I'm sticking with. But the last one that I'm going to choose, and we just talked about him a second ago, Marcus Rashford, 7 million. seven
Mm,
million for Marcus
I
Rashford. When you
noticed that
consider
there.
goals and assists that he could produce, that is a steal. And he's a midfielder as well, so they count more than
Yes,
if he was classed as a striker.
that I noticed the price there, and I thought, oh, that. The thing is with Marcus Rashford now, we need to remember the stats that he got that season before he got his big contract, and the fact that he's probably playing now with better forwards. He's
With him,
he's playing with more creative players. He's got Tielemans and Bruno Fernandes will be there behind Cunha and Bumo. There's pace around there. There's danger. Marcus Rashford's pace playing off Sesko. I like the sound of that. Yeah, 7 million. I can't argue with that at all.
so the other ones that I've gone with, I've got a top three list of the differentials. These are the players that you try to buy to stay ahead of your competitors in the league. The ones that have only 2% of the FPL players have bought. But I think, and you just mentioned him before, Andre Santos, 5 mil. I think it's those line splitting passes and the fact that he might be on the end of some clean sheet bonuses as well, especially in the early
Okay,
games. I think
like I said,
he's a decent one to go for.
he's got, like I said, he's got a goal in him. That kid, he might surprise a few with these goals that you get. He might be a little bit like the Casemiro, where he pops up with a goal in it. Oh, I didn't say if he gets 5 or 6, 7 goals this season. Yeah, I'm all in
It's
that.
a big
I'm looking at
ask.
the defenders now. It is a big ask, but he has got a goal in. Just mark that down now. Cropper said he's got a goal in it. I'm just looking at the defenders now as well. Maguire's worth a little punt, isn't it? Because Maguire and Heaven
Hmm.
seem to be the lads that will start. Maguire's got a good header in him. De Ligt's still injured. Yeah, Mazraoui started at right back, didn't he? I think he is our
Yeah.
best right back. So yeah, Maguire might be a little. Heaven there seen selected by 0.3% of
Yeah.
the people. So yeah, 4.5 million. Aiden Heaven might be a little worth a little shout there.
See, the reason why I didn't pick any of the defensive assets, including Senna Lamans as well, is because we don't know how that's going to settle from now until the beginning of until the start of the season. So right now, it's Shaw's definitely going to play. Maguire's probably going to play. Yoro's going to play, and then it's one of Darrow and Mazraoui at right back. But we've also got Aiden Heaven. We've also got Lisandro Martinez, who apparently is coming back to full fitness. We've also got Matthias de Ligt. It's one of those positions, defence, where I wouldn't take any of these assets yet. Luke Shaw at 4.5 million. decent, but he played 38 games last season. He barely had any attacking returns. I think it was only the last couple of games, wasn't it? 1 assist and one goal against Brighton. So yeah, and 113 points is all he got last season. Harry Maguire, by comparison, I think he played like 5 to 10 less games than Luke Shaw, and he was on 90. And I know he's a little bit more at 0.5, 5 million, but he could be one, as you say. Pops up, grabs a goal. Saying that though, I don't think many people will pick Luke Shaw, which is why I think as a differential, he's probably a good one to have because he's consistent without being superb. He's very consistent. 4.5 million. And then the last one that I've got, and again, you might look at it and go, oh, that's pretty obvious, but I don't think people will be selecting him, especially in their early draft picks. The top strikers that people are going for at the moment is João Pedro, Haaland, obviously, and then Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, great, 6 million, top. You'll definitely get him in there. But Sesko at 7 million, he's not ready to play yet, but 7 million, and I think he can have just as an effective season as João Pedro, and he's only 0.5 of a million less than him. So I think Sesko could be a little shout because I don't think many people will pick him.
Doggy best as well, because he was on fire and he's played every single minute. Has he played every single? He's played most of the preseason.
Do you know what the disappointing thing for me is? Because I had Doggy Best in my team last season. The most disappointing thing is that he's been moved up to midfield.
Yeah,
because he was like a bit of a defender.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. It's not that he's not a defender, that lad, is he? And that's the reason why he's not playing there now. Well, yep.
Exactly. That was actually on the deal sheet from The Athletic that we talked about at the start of the show. He was one of the little lines that was in there was that Michael Carrick considers Doggy Best as an attacker and a winger rather than a defender. Yes. So that's when they're talking about we need to bring in a left back. That's why, because he's not classed as one anymore. So yeah. So if you're looking for FPL assets, unless you've got another one there, a sneaky one that's just been popping in, those are the picks that I would go for. Differentials and nailed on ones. But whoever you get in, it's 2 of those because Bruno Fernandes definitely has to be in your team. Otherwise, like Erling Haaland, if you don't have either of those in your team, you're already going to be miles behind your competitors. So those are the ones that I go for. Right. That's it. On that bombshell, that FPL bombshell, end of a podcast.
I'm going to do my team now. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, that's it. He's excited now. Before we started this show, you were saying, no, there's not that much to talk about, but we've managed to fill close to an hour. So there we go. There's always stuff to talk about when it comes to Manchester United. Always. Next week, what a club. Next week, we are going to be having our pre-season predictions. Because we're very close. Hull City is on the Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's on the Saturday. So we're going to do our pre-season special. We might do a few bits of the transfer news if anything has happened. But yeah, we're going to talk about our expectations and what we think is going to happen. And we may quite possibly have a special guest for it as well. So do stay tuned for that. Oh, who could it be? So as always, thanks again, Mr. Paul Cropper, and we will speak to you again next week.